So today I want to show you how quickly you can build a production-ready app by challenging myself to build a full app in just 5 prompts. I'm going to break down the exact tools I'm going to be using and show you my prompt framework for building this app in 5 prompts. And you're going to see live whether I succeed or fail in building this. And this is something that I haven't tried to do before. So this is all going to be completely live and unedited, so you get to see the exact full process. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years, I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design. And with that said, let's jump straight into the challenge and see if I can build an app in 5 prompts.
Build great product. Build great product.
Okay, so let's try and build an app in just 5 prompts using a few different tools here. And first I want to go through my tech stack, the prompt framework that I'm using, and the app idea that I'm going to try and be building in this 5 prompt challenge. And so to start off with, the app idea that I want to create here is basically an AI like knowledge agent builder. So a platform that allows people to create AI agents that have access to a specific document that can then ask questions about that document. And so what we're going to do here is basically create a dashboard where you can click create an AI agent and you can provide it a file, and then you can have a chat with that agent to ask it questions about that document. Basically to try and help companies with like large amounts of knowledge, like stored in documentation, to ask questions to their documents. And so I'm going to use a few different tools here to go through the tech stack. I'm going to basically be using Leap to build the app. I'm going to be using Encore to deploy the app after it's built. I'm going to be using Clerk for authentication. I'm going to be using Polar for payments. And there's a few reasons why I like to use these tools. For using Leap, a lot of people don't know about this app building tool or aren't using it and will be using Lovable or Bolt or anything like that. I like Leap because it is a full stack app builder. It builds your backend into your code base as well. Instead of using a separate service for your backend like Supabase, this means you can build complex apps pretty easily, and it means all of your backend is built into your code. You do need to use something else for authentication, which is why we're using Clerk here for authentication, but generally I like to use Clerk for authentication anyway. Clerk is the easiest platform to set up for authentication for Google login, I have found, without setting it up manually going through Google and without using Supabase authentication, which I find can be difficult to set up Google sign up with Supabase as well. So we're going to be using Clerk for authentication. Encore connects directly to Leap, so it's super easy to deploy to a cloud production environment basically. And Polar for payments. Polar is basically a merchant of record, which means that they handle tax from all the different countries, and they're designed specifically for software products and for apps like this. So I like using them over Stripe because of those 2 reasons. This is not a paid ad for like any of these products, by the way. These are just the tools that I like using to build apps at the moment, and these are the tools that I think will work best in this 5 prompt challenge. I'm going to go through my 5 prompts here that I'm going to do as well, the rough kind of structure that I'm going to do to try and get to a production ready app in just 5 prompts. The first prompt is basically our setup. So we want to provide like context, the rough outline of functionality, the screens that we want to include, the user journey, and then some rough design direction, and also like some technology that we want to use here as well. We're going to integrate Clerk. So we have an authentication prompt for the second prompt. We're going to then do a payments prompt for the third prompt to integrate Polar. We're then going to have like the 4th and the 5th prompt basically to help us make sure that it works, fix any bugs that are happening, and then maybe like some design tweaks at the end as well. We'll do like a design direction in the first prompt here, but I also want to have some space here to like do design and user experience improvements as well, because I think that will make a huge difference to the app. And then we're going to go to live app, and can it be done? I'm not sure. We're going to try it. I've not tried this before, doing it in 5 prompts, so we're just going to see how it goes. And also one rule that I have for myself here is if I click the fix button in Leap to fix something automatically, that counts as 1 prompt. So that's just going to keep me super honest here and not just keep clicking fix and being like, well, this doesn't count as a prompt, because that's going to count as a prompt as well. So let's jump straight into Leap and start building our idea. So we're going to create the first prompt first here. So let's go through like the context, the functionality, user journey, design, and technology just in this straightforward first prompt. And The reason that I like doing it this way is because often I find that a PRD for like your first prompt to build an app is often too detailed for these tools. It includes too many specifics, too many detailed things. What we want to give is we want to give the AI like a general idea and like some really specific functionality that we want to build, and then give it some context and let it kind of figure out the right solution off the back of that for us a little bit. Unless we have like a really set of specific criteria that we want to build. But even then, if you have that specific set of criteria that you want to build, you probably don't want to put your full PRD into this as the first prompt. You probably want to break it down into steps as to how you build this. And so let's start writing our first prompt. So what I'm going to do here for prompt number 1 out of 5 is going to be this. So let's go through the first prompt that I've created for this app here. So basically, build an app called Insight Finder to help people create AI agents from a dashboard. The purpose of the AI agents would be to ask questions about a knowledge base. This is to help companies find relevant information in knowledge bases they already have. You could do this in document upload, but I think to start off with, I'm just going to do it with like a text input field to keep it really simple. It will basically be a dashboard with a left-hand navigation that shows an agents tab where the user can create new agents. Let's have that as an agents page where the user can create new agents and see their existing agents, and a chat history list where they can see any chats they've had with any AI agent. When a user clicks create agent from the agents tab, they would get a pop-up with options to create the agent by giving it a name, description, and a text field for the knowledge that they want the AI agent to have memory of. Then they click the agent to start a chat with that agent and ask any questions about the knowledge that the agent has memory of, and the chat would be added to the chat history list in the left-hand navigation. Use the OpenAI API for the agent. I'm just going to say use OpenAI for the agent to be little bit less specific there, so we can figure out how it wants to implement that for me. And then I've added a bit about design here. So like design for the app should be dark mode with subtle, I'm going to say like a subtle dark gradient background, and new morphic buttons and UI elements with teal buttons and icons. Use instrument serif for the headings and DM sans. Let's put like from Google Fonts just for each one so it knows exactly what it's doing. And then that's regular weight for DM sans from Google Fonts for all other text. So that's our first prompt. We've got all of those key elements that we want to include here. And this is like often better than just dropping a whole PRD in here. Because if you use a PRD, it can be a little bit too specific about the technology it would use, the way that the app should be built, all of that sort of stuff. And I generally find it like taking this approach is a little bit better here to just give it like a really clear starting point of like your one functionality that you want to build. And also notice in here, like I haven't included any user journeys around authentication or payments. Like I mentioned earlier, we're going to do those as separate prompts and add those as separate functionality. So for this first prompt out of 5, let's send it off and see what Leap builds. Let's go into the other tools here whilst we're waiting for Leap to build this first thing, and I'll talk through setting things up there. So we've got Clerk basically, which is for authentication. I feel like Clerk is the most simple way of like setting up Google login, sign up, all of the authentication stuff for your app. What I'm going to do here is just create a new application in Clerk. I'm going to call this Insight Finder. You basically choose what login options you want to create. Clerk creates a component. You can see the preview on the right hand side of the component that we'd use to log in. And this is used by tons of other apps as well. So even like production apps, which have, thousands of users. I go into Orchids here, for example, and click sign up. You can see secured by Clerk. So this is used by like tons of apps that are actually making money and have real users. And so I really rate Clerk for like a production authentication option for your app. Let's create that application in Clerk. And that's basically then going to give me like API keys here that I can copy and paste over to my project and put that into Leap. We're also going to do the same in Polar. So if you create an account on Polar, what you'll be able to do is create a new product here. So I'm just going to create a new product called Insight Finder. We're going to change that to a monthly price. And the other thing that I didn't include in that first prompt as well was the payment format that I want to do, because what I'm going to basically try and do is allow users to create one agent and have one chat with that agent. And then if they want to do more chats on top of that, they have to upgrade to a premium account. It might be a little bit too complex for this 5 prompt challenge, but we'll see. We'll try and do it here. Quick break in the episode to talk about my community for people who are building apps with AI and want to actually launch their app and get real customers. It's called the AI App Builders Academy. So if you're building an AI app with Bolt or Lovable or Cursor or any of these AI tools and you actually want to make a profit and launch your app, then this is the community for you. Inside you'll get access to a community of other builders as well as my 30-day app course helping you go from idea to app to a profitable launch in just 30 days. You'll also get access to weekly calls with live workshops and training, as well as all of my startup frameworks and resources and 24/7 support from the community to help you answer any questions or problems you're having with building and launching your AI app. So if you're building an app with AI and you actually want to make a profit and launch your app, then head over to school.com/AI apps to find out more. I'll see you there. So I'm going to create that product, which is a monthly payment of $19 a month. So we've now got that product in here, Insight Finder. If I go to settings and general in Polar, you can basically create like a new organization access token. So I'm going to call this Insight Finder, give it access to everything and allow this to like not expire, create that. Now that might not be the exact right way of doing it, but this is how I've got it set up initially here just to get things up and running. You can always change that later. The platform we're going to be using to deploy is Encore, which Leap deploys directly onto. That's why we're using this. And Encore is like a production grade deployment environment and DevOps environment basically for like anything going on with your app that you want to see behind the scenes. So you can see architecture, API usage, database stuff, all of that stuff. And then we've got the OpenAI API key here. Let me just paste these keys from Clerk and Polar over to a note. Can you just cut this bit out with these keys already existing on here? Because this kind of like gives away that I've tried building this before. So let's copy and paste these onto this note for Polar and Clerk. There we go. And I'm going to do this with the OpenAI key that I create here as well. So let's create an OpenAI key here called Insight Finder, create the secret key, and then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it over to this note that I've got here as well. So I'm just going to make a note that this is OpenAI. And so we've got all our API keys now that we need for our project in Leap. I've also found like some visual inspiration just on Dribble that I wanted to kind of follow, which is this like dark mode gradient UI. I really don't like the purple gradients like this that AI always comes back with, it seems to. And that's another reason why I personally like Leap a little bit as well, because it generally tends to not do like the standard AI style design. So this is what we've got in Leap. So we have let's have a look. So we've got our agents screen here, which I can create an agent, and then I've got a chat history on the left with no chats yet. Perfect. That's what I wanted to create. So let's test some of the functionality. Actually, let's first I'm just going to add in my OpenAI API key into the project here, and then we can actually test that working, the AI functionality working properly. So that build is successful. So let's open this again in preview. And let's try and create an agent here. So let's call this Business Advisor. And let's say the knowledge base is going to be, we like dogs. And I'm doing this just because I want to test this agent basically. So I'm going to ask the agent a question to test that it has memory and that it's working. So I'm going to ask that after I create this agent, let's click create agent. There we go. We've got our business agent there. Perfect. A little success message in the bottom right. If I go into this agent, I can start a conversation with this business advisor. And the test here is going to be, if I say, what do we like? It should say, we like dogs. And that will prove that the agent knows the context of the knowledge base. Okay, great, perfect. So you have your chat here. It's also created 2 chats on the left, which I'm not sure. There's one here, which is empty. And there's one. I also want to allow the user to be able to delete chats from this chat history on the left door. And I also want to allow the user to be able to edit the knowledge base. So this is all functionality that we can add in. For now, this is working pretty good to start off with. The actual app and that collapsible functionality is working great on the menu. Go back to the agents tab, I can create agents in here. This is working pretty good. So let's set up the That's great. I was expecting there to be like some bugs or something happen with this, but it's all seems to be working so far. So let's go on to prompt number 2. So let's set up the Clerk authentication here. What we want to say here is let's set up Clerk for authentication. So a user can log in or sign up, and then after they log in or sign up, they see their agent page. I'm going to just send this like straightforward prompt for now, because this like Leap has context of how it should set up Clerk. So I don't want to give it too many specifics here, because that could throw off the AI to like going down a different path. So I just want to give it like an idea of what will happen once Clerk is set up. So let's send this second prompt off to set up Clerk here. And I'm going to get my keys. I've had issues in Leap before with the keys not being added to the right files in the code. So we're going to check that once it's done this as well. Whilst this is running as well, I'm going to actually start making notes of things that I want to change so that I can put these in future prompts. So allow users to edit the knowledge base on any created agent. And I also want to allow users to delete chats from the chat history. And I also want to allow users to rename the chats as well. Let's add that in, to rename the chats from the chat history as well. And I also want to allow users to favorite chats from the chat history as well. I don't have to keep writing as well here. That seems silly. So those are the changes that I want to do. And then is there anything else here? There is other functionality that would be nice to add, but I'm actually not going to. Let's just put in about the bug, like fix the bug where starting a new chat creates a duplicate chat in the chat history. Okay, so we've got configuration required. This usually happens when you set up Clerk. So you need to set your publishable key up in the right file in the code. So I've got like Clerk secret key in here, which I can put my secret key in from Clerk, which is this one, and update that. But from experience using Leap, it still hasn't added it to this config.ts file. You can see here it's not added. So we're going to add this manually into this config file. I'm not going to make any code changes apart from like adding API keys. Okay, so that can be like another rule here for my 5 prompt challenge. So let's save that. This is now rebuilding the project, so that should work. So with 2 prompts in, we've got a login page. It always adds this extra like section, which is already in the Clerk options on Leap for some reason. Let's close this and open another preview again. Okay, so we've got our login page. We might want to create a landing page here as well. So like a bit of a sales or marketing page, but you could always do that in another tool. Generally, the way that I would do this is like, because I'm a designer, I would probably design the landing page in Figma and then build that in Bolt using the Figma to Bolt plugin. Or I would build this in something like Orchids, because Orchids is like a design specific vibe coding tool that is best for websites. So I like Orchids for that use case. But for now, let's continue testing our app. So now we've got authentication in here. We can log in to our app using Clerk. This is in the development. This is the development version of this Clerk project at the moment. So it wouldn't work in production. We've got our AI agents in our account. We've got our account stuff here. This is all done through Clerk, by the way. So all of this account management is done through Clerk. I've got no agents. Let's create an agent, call it Business Advisor again, and say like, we like cats. We have an error creating this agent. So I'm imagining why this is happening is because we've added authentication. The reason why this error is happening is because it's not able to create the agent in the database correctly for that user. Because now we have this additional concept here of users in our architecture. There's nothing like created here. So although it's created the authentication flow, it hasn't like created the user's entity or like a database for that, for us to store the agents against for a logged in user. So what I'm going to do is we're going to paste this error. So I'm going to copy and paste this error. So I want to basically, let's go into the bugs here, because let's set up Polar. Actually, like some of the payment stuff might be related to how the user database would actually have information stored against it. So I think we need to fix this user database issue first. So I'm just going to put this in a bugs list here and do a prompt here to fix this bug as my third prompt. So we're going to basically say I'm guessing this error when creating a new agent. It looks like we don't have a users in the database. When a user creates an account, we need to be able to store agents created against a user account so that only they see and can use those agents. Let's make sure this is happening. Create the correct database structure and backend functionality to fix this issue. So I'm being quite specific here. And Leap is really good when you're very specific. I always like to, if you're not familiar with this, just use DevTools in your browser, in your preview for your app to actually figure out what's going wrong here and any errors that are showing. It will give you a really clear view and it will give you really good information to copy and paste back into your app builder. And so that's what I've done here. And I've also tried to figure out the issue a little bit myself by having a look at this architecture to see I have a hypothesis of why this isn't working, and I think we're going to be able to fix that this time. So let's send that to Leap. That's our third prompt here. What we're going to do as our fourth prompt is set up Polar for payments. So we want to write out a prompt to be able to add in the correct payment functionality. So let's write the payment prompt that we can copy and paste over to Leap once we're done. So what I want to do is basically, let's use Polar for payments. I want to create the following pricing structure. A new user would be able to create one agent and start one chat on a free account. They then would need to upgrade to a pro account in order to create unlimited agents and get unlimited chats. This is a product in Polar already. Prompt the user to upgrade on the UI once they have created one agent. Okay, so that's going to be our payment prompt. Okay, so we've got here now a user's database entry that's been created in the architecture. That's got, basically, if we have a look over here, so it doesn't have any endpoints. So this is authentication, doesn't have any endpoints. Users has 2 endpoints, which makes sense because that should connect to agents here. There's no connectors going on between these entities in the architecture, which I'm not sure about. This is still loading. So what has Leap said? So this is just fixing this issue. If I undo, by the way, it still counts as me doing a prompt. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to undo that and try that and just keep rinsing my third prompt here. So let's log in with let's close this. Let's log in with this new version of the app, see if this works. Hopefully when I sign in, basically I try and create an agent here, and this should create an agent for this user in that database. Error loading agents, invalid token. Okay, so we're gonna have to do another bug fix here. So I think there's something going on behind the scenes. Again, it says, so it's going back to loading agents again. We're gonna get the same error message, I think. Yep, so we're gonna have to do another bug fix here. So we're gonna say, we're currently getting this message when I log into my account on the agents page. I was really hoping that I would be able to get that working in that previous prompt so that I didn't have to do another prompt here in the challenge to try and fix this functionality, or that it was going to get it right on the first time. Authentication can be a bit of a pain in figuring out and getting the database structure right here. So I'm going to say there's something also going on here. So there's an error with the endpoint for the authentication as well. Also getting this error in the logs, and you fix this as well. So we'll try and combine both of these errors at the same time. I can click fix with Leap, but that's going to use up my fourth prompt here. So what have we got? We did 1, 2, 3. We're on the fourth prompt. Okay, so we're not going to be able to make any design changes because we're going to have to do Polar for payments in the last prompt. Let's just try and fix this and get it working in this fourth prompt. Okay, so this has supposedly fixed that issue. Let's have a look. Go back to our app, log in. We're going to log in here. I also just want to have a look at the architecture. These are not connected, which they probably should be. It's loading agents. I think we're going to get the same error here, to be honest. Yeah, we're getting error loading agents. Let's just create an agent and see if we can do that. No, we can't. So we're going to have to try and fix these errors. And maybe the prompt that I did before to like create this users database was incorrect, or I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so we're going to have to try and put in all of these changes. I'm not going to put in all of these because I want to like allow users to, and we're going to have to do Polar for payments as well. So let's just do let's use Polar for payments. I want to create the following pricing structure. Let's do that prompt and then just say there is also an issue where no agents are retrieved when I'm logged into my account and I can't create agents. There might be something not working in the backend related to agents being created against a user account. Can you fix this? You investigate and fix this as well. So this is our last prompt here. Let's see if we can do it. Let's see if we can get this working for like a production ready app in 5 prompts. I didn't anticipate those errors. How close can we get in this prompt here? We're going to be able to use Polar for payments. We want to create the following pricing structure. We're going to have to put in our Polar keys into the code here as well, and into the infrastructure tab here. It's going to create us a new secret using Polar. This is going to be really, I'm not sure that this is going to get this in this prompt, I'll be honest, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do this. But let's see how we go. I reckon we could get it working in like 5 more prompts to have like the full version of this up and running. But 5 prompts was like pretty punchy to try and do that. So I think if I did this again, I might add in the authentication flow as part of the first prompt, because then the database and the backend structure would be created based on Clerk being integrated to the app user journey, rather than kind of like adding it on top and getting Leap to like retroactively go back and edit the code in the backend to like connect those things up after it's kind of created the initial architecture. So I think that's probably something that I've learned here that you can kind of like take away to use in your own apps, is maybe having like a full user journey, and in your initial prompt is helpful, including like some of the authentication piece if you're using Clerk. But I'm interested to see what this comes back with. All right, so the last prompt has been sent. We can make no more edits unless we're just adding API keys to the code or anything like that. We're going to like change the development mode, like API key or like key for Clerk in the backend. It's annoying that I still have this like don't have an account and sign up like on this page here. Let's see. Okay, interesting. I wasn't expecting that. So like now we have this billing database and we have this users entity that's not connected to agents or billing. So agents is connected to uses the database. So billing uses the agents database. Yeah, okay, let's see. We need to put our Polar access token in here. So let's put the Polar access token, which is this one, into our secrets here. And I'm also going to go back to the code and look at the config.ts file here, because this also needs the product price ID. So your Polar product price ID, which we're going to get from Polar. Let's go back to our products and let's go to Insight Finder. So the price ID, the product ID should be this one here. So I'm going to copy that product ID, put it back into, let's close these previews, put it back into Leap here and then save that. So those things should be set up now for Polar. Let's let it build this project again. Go back to the preview. Let's open this. So this is our final app from 5 prompts. Is it going to work? Who knows? Let's sign in. I reckon we're still going to get the same issue here. I'll try and fix it in one more prompt if this doesn't work, so we can actually see what the final things looks like, because otherwise this is just like, yeah, I'm not sure. It's not a fun challenge. It's not a fun end to the 5 prompt challenge. I want to actually show you something that's working. So we're still getting this not working in the background. So what I'm going to do is we're getting this. So like Let's have a look at this here. Let's copy this out here. We're going to do one more prompt here, basically to try and get this working. And I'm going to do a different method here. So one really useful thing that you can do in Leap is to merge a change, and then you would be able to deploy that to your live environment if you wanted to, or deploy that to your code, to your app. But what I'm going to do next, and that creates your change history up here. So you can kind of like break this up into chunks. What we're going to do is we're going to give this a different, let's use GPT-5 instead. And let's just try fixing this again so that we can get something that's usable in like 6 prompts here. I know it's not in the 5 prompt challenge, but I want to show you this working. And if we can't do it here, we're just going to have to leave it there. And I'll do another 5 prompt challenge video where I actually build something successfully. Well, I knew this was a risk. So like I'm showing you the real stuff here. Okay. I'm getting this error on the agents page. When I log into my account, something isn't working between the user and the agents being accessible. Figure out why this is happening and fix the backend so that I'm able to see and create agents once I've logged in. So just trying to prompt it in a different way, trying to use a different AI model here, which is a good, and trying to use a fresh chat context to hopefully try and get it to like fix this bug. And this is one of my bug fixing techniques that I like to use. Another one here is that you can take this outside of the platform that you're building in and actually put it into something like Cursor and try to fix it with another tool as well if you're getting a bug where you're kind of going around in circles. And so if you're struggling, just try with a fresh chat, try with a different AI model, and then see if you can get it to fix the bug that you're coming up against. Okay, so that prompt has gone through. So let's just open a new preview here and see if that has fixed the issue so that we can create agents in our account. Authentication is one of those areas which can be really, really difficult when you're building apps with AI, which is why it can seem tempting to go with an all-in-one solution like Replit or Base44 or Mocha. But if you're building a commercial app where you want to scale it and you want to get paying users, you're going to want to do that on a platform that is scalable, where you have all of these elements potentially plugged in with different services that have a proven track record of working for large commercial like apps, basically. Okay, so this seems to have fixed it here. So I've logged in with my account. I can click create agent. Let's do business advisor that likes cats. Let's just see. We like cat. Let's create the agent. There's an error creating the agent. Okay, so here we go. We've got a more specific error here now. Let's go to this and let's copy and paste this back in. And we'll try and do like one last thing here. So we fixed one issue, which was like getting the list of agents for a user. And hopefully, well, they're not connected, but it's still working. I'm getting this error when creating agents on my account. Can you investigate and fix this? So let's send that off to Leap. The 7th prompt, I know we're going past 5 here. So the challenge was a failure, but can we build that app? We'll at least get a working version. All right, Leap has fixed it. So let's, for the final time here, let's go into the app. I'm going to be tempted to like fix it again if this doesn't work but let's just say final time, okay? We know the agents aren't showing here. We haven't got any agents against this account. Let's create this. Business advisor, we like cats. Let's do it. Come on, create the agent. Yes, we've created the agent. It's working. Amazing. And look, if I go back, it says create manager agents, 1 out of 1 agents, and then upgrade. And I have this upgrade now. It's not the same price that I set in Polar, but that's fine. This is still working and it's pretty good. Unlock, limited time offer, unlock unlimited power. Let's go into the business advisor. Let's start a chat. Let's say like, what do we like? Come on. Oh. Okay, so I created an agent and I don't have to upgrade to even have a chat with it now because it's built that slightly incorrectly. Let's just click upgrade now. It couldn't. Okay, well, it's nearly working. There's some issues with Polar that aren't working here. Basically, yeah, something is going on here with Polar where it's not getting the right product. I tried to send that off. Try to send this message off. Oh, it did it. Okay, I just clicked close on the upgrade message and it let me send a message. So that's also slightly broken here. So what do we like? You like cats. Great. The agent is working, has memory, is stored against the user account. I can create new agents in here. I've got the upgrade message. we're connected to Clerk, authentication is working, I have the user profile, the databases are set up correctly, it all seems to be working. The only thing that isn't working is the payments through Polar, but that is still set up in the code and I've added in my keys there, so it should be just a process of fixing a small number of these bugs. And I'm going to end the video up there because we've done 7 prompts. I'll keep on going for too long if I keep doing this. And let's get into my final thoughts of the challenge here and how much I clearly failed, but also managed to build something that was reasonably good. So I failed the challenge. Okay, I totally get it. I didn't manage to build a production app in 5 prompts, but I built something pretty good in just 7 prompts, and hopefully going through that process has helped you see the right sort of approach, or at least my approach to building full stack apps using these tools, just using Leap, Clerk and Polar for payments. I think if you fixed a few of the payment issues on the app that we've got built so far, and you went through some security checks and code review, you could get this pretty quickly to a point where you have an MVP ready to go. Deploy that using Encore onto an actual custom domain and get people using it pretty quickly. But it just goes to show how quickly you can create complex and custom apps using app builders like this in even just 7 prompts here. And this is the first time I've done this as well, so I reckon I could probably get this a lot better just by practicing over and over again. If you enjoyed this challenge format, I'd love to hear about it in the comments down below. Just let me know and I can keep doing more of these style videos. If you like the video, just click like and subscribe. And as always, if you are building an app with AI tools and you want to actually make a profit, then I've got a community for that over at school.com/AI apps, and you'll get access to my course, all of my frameworks, weekly Q&A calls, and a community of over 100 other people building AI apps along with a bunch of other stuff. So head over there to find out more. Otherwise, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.
Build great product. Build great product.